What's up, YouTube? I'm in Suchitoto El Salvador. I got in here a couple days ago from Guatemala. I'm just making a short video on my experiences here in El Salvador. I think I got in Thursday. Yeah, I got in Thursday. I went from the capital of Guatemala to El Salvador, and then my favorite hotel was already booked out, so I went to a youth hostel as my first experience in a youth hostel. It was okay. It's kind of expensive though. It's right where the bus stop drops you off, and it's 15 bucks a night. Wasn't the greatest experience, wasn't the worst. Just wasn't used to it. Anyways, that went okay, and now I'm in Suchitoto by the lake. There's a lake up here. It's pretty nice. And if you want to get here from the capital, you just go to Terminal Oriente, and then you just catch a bus on the side of the road. You don't catch the bus inside the bus station, but it's up by the side of the road. If you just tell people where you're going, they'll show you where it is. It's kind of the opposite of where the bus station is. And it was a buck. I got lucky. I went there, and then the first one going that I was going to catch, it was all full, so I didn't really want to stand up the whole trip or part of the trip, but I just waited, and another one came, and I got lucky. It was an air-conditioned one. That would cost me $1. It cost about $1 to get here. It cost about $8 or $9 to catch a taxi to get to the bus station. So it's just kind of like Guatemala in the sense that you can pay more for the taxi than the actual bus fare. Fortunately, here in El Salvador, there's not a lot of first-class buses for the local transportation, so you got to take other buses, which is okay because some of them are air-conditioned, some of them are not. Some of them go all the way, not always, but if you're patient, you wait around. You don't have to there goes a motorcycle. You don't have to catch a connecting bus. You can just get a direct one, which they call directo. So, anyways, I'm in I don't know if it's my favorite hotel here, but it's hotel or hostel or La Posada, Luna Blanca, no, Luna Azul, the blue moon. Yeah, it's the blue moon, I think. It's only about a block from the Parque Central, but it's about 12 bucks a night with a private bath. I think it's 8 for a shared bath. But if you stay here a couple days or 3 days, they usually give you a discount. I got 3 days for 30 bucks, which works out to about 10 bucks a day. In case you don't know, they use U.S. dollars here in El Salvador, and so it's still pretty affordable. The other thing I want to talk about is I got my my DPI, which I've been using, and when I checked out of the country, I just showed it to them, and they put me out on the computer. Also, when I came in, I used it to come into the country, and I didn't really have to show my passport. That was pretty cool. So it really is true, and it works. Once you get your DPI, you can go to the surrounding C4 countries without a passport. Although some agents or immigration agents will ask to see it. In this case, they didn't. Next, I'm going to be probably going to either Honduras or Nicaragua. Probably Honduras. That's usually my favorite place to go. And I'm going to try it up there, and I'll let you know how that goes. But so far, it's been great traveling with my DPI. I haven't had to use my U.S. passport. I have permanent residency now, so in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I'll be able to apply for my naturalization and then get my passport here, so that'll be pretty cool. And then another cool thing is I've been having trouble opening up brokerage accounts in Asia and Europe, but mainly Europe and the UK and Australia. That's where some of the cooler, the more interesting FX brokers are, and I want to trade indices, and I guess technically speaking, Americans aren't allowed to trade contracts for difference, but if you have a residency somewhere else that's not the U.S., and if you can prove it to them, FX Pro and the one in Australia, I can't think of the name, Pepper Farm or Pepperdine, I can't remember. It's Pepper something. They'll open you up an account. If I remember right, it's only a couple $100 to open an account, and you can trade contracts for a difference. You can trade FX, and from what I've seen on their website, you can trade some of the cryptocurrencies if that's what you want to do. So if you want to trade crypto, I guess, and settle in dollars or Aussies or euros or whatever the hell you want to settle your contracts, and you can do that. I'm not exactly sure because I don't trade cryptocurrency, at least not on an exchange. I don't trade on those brokerages. cryptocurrencies, but I presume all settlements in dollars or whatever currency that they have in the contract. So that's been kind of cool with the second residency. I've been talking about my videos. Just an update. I have permanent residency now. I got my local ID. Can now open up local accounts a lot easier. If you don't know, because of the FATCA laws and rules, a lot of countries all over the world have closed out their clients' accounts if they're American citizens, and which left a lot of people in a lurch, and they can't do business now. That's another thing. If I want to do business in Europe now, I can take my credentials and once I get a passport and go to Europe, and it's a lot easier to do business in Europe if you wish to. You may not want to live or do business in Europe, but if you want to, you can. Makes it easier than using a U.S. passport and much, much cheaper. So just a few thoughts on second residency, and it's a cheap way to go. And again, I'm talking about Guatemala. You don't have to prove any income. You don't have to get an FBI background check. So if you have a legal problem in one state, just get your background check in another state. It's really fast. Just as a tip, after you get your temporary residency, you can apply for your permanent residency after a year and 1 month. Most people don't realize that. They wait a full 2 years, but you can actually apply for it after a year and a month, and then usually you get it approved about 6 months later. So you can get approved for permanent residency in less than 2 years. If you're willing to deposit $50K in the country, I don't have a problem with that. Put it in an SA corporation, deposit $50K, and then once you get your permanent residency okayed, you can skip that 2-year period of the simple residency and just go to permanent right away. Then if you want to, you can just move that money out of the country, or you can move into another SA. Another thing you want to realize is if your lawyer, if you have an SA account, don't use your own SA account. Use your lawyer's another off-the-shelf account or SA corporation. So the reason for that is because if the U.S. government ever, for whatever reason, is investigating you for one thing or the other, they'll give you the details you put on the passport or on the residency program. This is why I don't like residency programs where you have to list all your assets around the world, because that government and then the U.S. government can take that information and use it against you. And I don't suggest lying either. That's another cool thing. You can put your assets in an SA corporation. You can use another SA corporation to apply for the residency, and it doesn't cost you anything extra, anything. And if you want to keep a low profile, you can do that. That's one of the downfalls of these other residency programs. They take too much information from you. You have to get a background check, an FBI background check, which takes longer and longer to do. And if you have any small thing that could be embarrassing, your residency could be not approved just because of that. That's one cool thing about some of the C4 countries, including Guatemala. You still don't need an FBI background check. And now in Paraguay you do, and you can get residency there real easy, but you can't always apply for the passport and get it right away, if at all, unless you're willing to use some unconventional methods of doing that, which I really won't talk about here, but it can be kind of expensive if you're on a budget. If you're looking for another cheap way to get a residency, Peru is a good example. I know about 3 or 4 people who have done it. All you have to really do is get an educational visa, and then you have to stay down there for more than 2 years. And the high-end schools cost about $150 or less a month. So you could sign up for Spanish classes, spend 2 years or more there, and by the time you get 2 years, you'll be qualified for the naturalization, which will qualify for the passport. That's just another way to get it cheap. And again, in Peru, you just have to bring down your birth certificate, your educational credentials, like where you went to high school, all that stuff, or college if you did that. It's pretty straightforward. The school will do it all for you. And at the end of 2 years, you'll qualify for residency there if you choose to pursue that. And you don't have to list out all your net worth. You will have to, in Peru, give them proof of, how you're going to live there, like a bank account with enough money in it to live there. But that's not, really difficult for most people. The car's going to go by. Anyways, Peru is another option for you. And the reason I like those options as opposed to some other countries is you have to list out all your assets. And just an example, recently in Ecuador, they changed their policy now. So whatever you put on the application as far as your income, you now have to pay a 17% tax in addition to whatever other taxes you'd have to pay. It's a new healthcare tax. Apparently, gringos are using up all the healthcare, which is probably not true, but they're going to stick it to them anyways. So They can change rules while you're in the process. I know quite a few, well, more than one, more than two people who qualified for the naturalizations in Ecuador, and for one reason or another they weren't approved. So even if you follow the rules, you don't necessarily get your passport. The other thing is Panama is promoting a program where if you start a corporation, put 5 or 6K in it, you can get residency, and eventually you can get a passport from Panama. Now, my opinion is, from talking to various law firms, that passport program, the rules will be changed midstream. So probably 50%, maybe 80%. I think more like 80. The law firms down here say more like 50 won't qualify for the passport under whatever new rules they come up with. And they'll come up with new rules where you have to prove higher income, pay more fees, and most people will drop out. Basically, that's what's happening in Ecuador. They're changing the rules in midstream, making it harder to qualify. So really, you'll have to be wealthier or willing to put down on paper more income than maybe you really want to. Excuse me, to qualify for the program. That's one of the benefits of at least Guatemala. You don't have to have any income. You have to prove any income, so you don't have to like lie or deceive or be dishonest about anything. You just apply for a simple residency and then change it over to permanent residency and then get in, or you just have to deposit 50K if you want the permanent right away. I just did the simple one, then the permanent, and I don't mind waiting. I only got 3 or 4 more years to apply for naturalization, then I can qualify for the passport. And it's pretty straightforward here. Once you qualify, you get the passport. There's a Spanish test you got to pass, which my understanding is no one's ever failed it. But anyways, they expect you to be not above average, but communicate at kitchen table Spanish when you're at the interview. I don't see any problems there, but even if you do, things can be worked out as far as that goes. Basically, you just got to put your time in here in Guatemala, and then you'll get your passport. I already have the cedula, so I can live. And depending on your idea of what the rules are, you can start businesses in these C4 countries. Now, you can't start a bank account, but again, if you have a SA corporation, maybe you don't need that. In most of these countries, everything's done in cash anyway. So if you ever had a legal problem in Guatemala, or you just wanted to open up another branch of your business in one of the surrounding countries, you could just start, go to a local lawyer, get an SA corporation there, do your banking through that. You wouldn't necessarily need to or want to do business in your own name. It's up to you how you want to manage your affairs. But so it's cool. You can qualify for residency in Guatemala, travel around on your new ID without a passport, open up bank accounts in your name in Guatemala, and/or open up accounts in it. And you have your lawyer set up some SA companies, and then you can have more private banking if that's what you want. And like I said, I don't have any legal problems. But some people I know, they just set up their business in these countries and just do everything in cash. So like if you had your DPI and you could just buzz over to Nicaragua or El Salvador or Honduras, I would recommend or suggest Honduras. Honduras is really great right now for business. Of course, all these countries are, but there's a lot of opportunities there. And you can just set up an all cash business if you wish. You're still supposed to register with the local government, pay taxes, but most people don't. My suggestion is you do, and use your lawyer to help you do that. You still won't pay much in taxes, and your lawyer can guide you in things that you may not be aware of, cultural things that you may not be aware of, to keep you safe and sound and not get in any trouble with the locals as far as that goes. It's part of the reason I suggest you use a lawyer, so you don't break any laws, and so you're aware of situations that you would not be aware of. An example is an acquaintance of mine set up a business in Mexico, in Guatemala, and unfortunately he got shaken down by the local Maras there. So if you set up shop in a nice area town, you won't really have any problems. But if you don't know where all those nice areas are, it's good to know locals and people you trust who can help guide you through that process. And again, most of the time they don't really, lawyers anyway, at least the ones I use, don't charge any extra for that, as long as you're using them for your corporate accounts and or using them for your residency. They throw all the other stuff in for free as far as that goes. Anyways, it's about the end of this video. Tell me what you leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. Thanks.